Okay.
Hey.
Hey.
Hi. Welcome back.
Welcome back. It's been a whirlwind past couple of weeks.
What else is new? God, I feel like that's always our excuse.
I know. Well, you're always just so busy all the time, and
yeah,
I'm not.
I know. I need to make more of a priority. That's for sure. So I promise.
Yeah. Well, you have other priorities too. It's not like you have a job and you have a side job and you have a family and all of your time is basically always taken up. So
yeah, I have a lot going on, but that's okay. That's not an excuse. So we will. We'll definitely make more time.
Yes.
And I like this 2-episode things. And
when we record like more than one episode at a time, and that makes things a lot easier for us. Because then it's just like I just have to go through and upload it and everything's ready to go.
Yeah.
Which is really nice.
Yeah, so this is All Things Strange. I'm Kristen.
I'm Brittney.
And this is where we talk about all things that are a little offbeat, macabre. Basically, if it's a little weird, we like it.
We love the weird stuff.
Weird
stuff. Yes, and it's so interesting, some of it. When you're coming up and doing the research and whatnot, it's just, you're like, I didn't know these things were happening, whether it, be a true story or not, because it's the internet, you can't trust everything you hear. It's still, at the same time, you're like, it makes you think a little bit.
I think that, for me, how we were just talking about how busy I am, I don't take any time for myself ever. And so I feel like this is forces me to look into things that I enjoy.
Yeah.
So I used to do that a lot. I love learning about different things, and I've kind of stopped that. I don't read very much anymore, and I don't look up things very much anymore because I ran out of time, and now this forces me to do that again. So,
which is good. Sometimes you just
definitely
need something like that,
I feel better for it, for sure.
I would. I mean, why not? It is nice because it does make you sit down. It makes you just kind of it's almost kind of relaxing. Although yesterday...
Sometimes it can be stressful. You're like, fuck.
Yesterday and the day before, I'm like, oh my God, what the hell am I going to do?
Yeah.
It was a mess, but I think I have it figured out. And even within the last 10 minutes, I've made changes. I'm
That's
like, ugh. So things are going to be completely different than what we had previously talked about. But this episode, we are going to be talking about medical mysteries.
Yes.
And because the body is a very strange thing, and
yes,
things that happen to the body are incredibly strange. And why not talk about it?
Yeah.
Right?
Cool.
So we each went through, we each picked our thing. I knew mine right off the bat. It's just...
I struggled with mine.
Did you?
But I'm glad what I found. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy about mine, just because I kind of have a little bit of a deeper connection with it, but at the same time it's just totally how did this even happen?
Cool.
So
do you want to go first? You seem excited.
I can go first. That's no problem with me. So I'm doing mine on a man named Terry Wallace, and he was the man that slept for 19 years. In it was on July 30th or 13th, 1984, Terry Wallace, when he was 20 years old, he was in a really bad car accident. His truck skid off of a small bridge. It crashed into a guardrail, and then it tumbled for 25 feet before it landed upside down in a dry riverbed. The person that was with him unfortunately died, and when they found him, he was unresponsive, immobile, but still breathing.
Okay.
So he was in a vegetative state, basically. He had a very young wife at the time. I'm talking 16, 17.
How old was he again?
He was 20.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
As long as he went 40. 16-year-old wife. That could be bad.
No. Who am I to talk? My husband's 12 years older than
I know, but you guys were adults.
That is true. Physically, yes. Mentally, we were not adults.
You guys had a ways to go. But you're almost there.
We're almost there. Me more than him still. I don't understand something. So anyways, she is very young. They had just had a baby. I think it was 6 weeks before. Yeah. Ugh. 6 weeks before they had a baby girl.
That poor girl.
The wife's name was Sandy, and the daughter's name was Amber. The mother heard about his accident first, and for some reason I didn't write her name down on this, but we'll get to her later. The accident had left him a quadriplegic, and he was moved into a nursing home. And within a year of the accident, his coma kind of like stabilized a little bit, so he was like in a minimally conscious state, which is terrifying if you think about it. Like, if you're even just like, think of it as you're waking up slightly in the middle of the night, almost kind of like if you have like, I don't know if you've ever had like night terrors or sleep paralysis or anything like that. It's just like, it was sleep paralysis. You're just like bam awake, but you can't move. Everything's like awful around you. It's a horrifying experience. And luckily it's only ever happened to me like twice, and it's taken me days to recover. But so you're like just barely woken up, and then you kind of fall back asleep. And imagine just like living kind of like that. You can't move. You can't do anything. It's terrible.
What was that movie? Or maybe it was a television show. Oh my god, it was a movie. I think it was the one with Uma Thurman. Fuck. Where the patient, where the orderly, where he would go and like rape the comatose patient,
and she ended up Kill Bill movie.
Yes, it was a Kill Bill movie.
Yeah, I think it was the second Kill Bill. The guy that drove the pussy wagon.
Yes, the Pussymobile.
His name was Buck, and he was here to fuck.
Yeah,
basically.
That's right. And oh my god,
or something like that. I don't know, but
I fucking love how she just.
Well, what it was the orderly was letting other people come in to fuck the comatose patient,
right?
And they would pay him. Yeah, to do so, and I'm
That's
just like,
fucking horrible. And can you imagine being like somewhat conscious?
Could you imagine that? Like, I'm sure it actually happened somewhere, but it is also a Quentin Tarantino movie, so it's like, whoa. No, I love all the Kill Bill movies.
Yeah, I just recently watched them. A few years, about a few years ago for the first time, because I was just like, man, I'm not into that. Like, I was really stubborn about it, and my husband was like, Kristen, you'll love these. So I sat down and I was just like, mind blown.
It's amazing.
I absolutely loved them. I thought they were fantastic.
So amazing. When Mark and I first moved in together, we had like each our own copies of Volume 1 and 2.
Cool.
And so we were just kind of like, well, do we keep them both? Like, what do we do? We ended up we didn't do anything about it for a while, but then after I was going through the movies, and I was like, no, we don't ever watch this. We don't we don't ever watch this or this or this. So let's just go ahead and clean it out. And so now we're down to like one copy, which I kind of wish I had like a traveling copy of each of the movies.
That makes sense.
Because I love them.
Yeah, they're very
absolutely love them.
Okay, so
anyways.
he was semi-conscious.
He was minimally conscious.
Okay.
So it was like just enough really just to keep him breathing, but there's like, you never know if like he could hear things.
What he's taking
or
in.
see things. Yeah, exactly. But the doctors did believe he would never recover. 19 years later, in 2003, he woke up. A nurse had walked in and noticed that he was kind of like alert almost, and his mom was there, and the nurse was like, hey, who's this walking up to you? And he's like, Mama. He spoke.
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. And because the family was not a very well-to-do family, and this all happened in Stone County, Arkansas.
Okay.
So because the family was obviously not rich by any means, they couldn't afford like the physiotherapy or the physiotherapy. So he had really weak muscles, and they did manage to keep his bed sores to a minimum, which is really nice. So I saw pictures of him, and he just like, his head was just, a normal size head, but because he had no muscle mass,
he's like skeletal.
His body was skin and bones, but not his head. Mm-hmm. It was really sad to me, but I'm just like, whatever, he pulled through. He did okay, which is great. But over the next 3 days, it was like a 3-day awakening period is basically what it was. It took him about 3 days to wake up as much as he was really gonna, wake up for that time. And he still thought it was
That's a trip.
I know. He still thought it was 1984. He thought he was still a 20-year-old, and he didn't remember his wife. He didn't remember his daughter. That he had a daughter. He had no memory of that.
How many years was he in this state?
19 years.
19 years. So his daughter was an adult.
Yeah. And we'll get to that later, too.
Holy crap.
So he, was able to regain the ability to control parts of his body and speak to others, but he was still disabled because the accident at that time had left him as a quadriplegic. But he was able to, after, sleeping it off for 19 years, he was able to basically move around a little bit more. But he did also suffer from a condition, and I'll try not to murder this. It's a motor disorder called dysarthria, like dysarthria. Dysarthria. Yeah, dysarthria. And that is a condition in which, I wrote this down too, a condition in which problems effectively occur with the muscles that help produce speech, often making it difficult to pronounce words.
Okay.
So it's like he could talk, he could understand, what people are saying, but sometimes when he would go to talk, it wouldn't come out right. I want to kind of liken it a little bit to when somebody has a stroke.
Okay.
And they sometimes have that problem forming words. Like when my grandma had her stroke, she would look at me, she was like, I know who you are. I know exactly who you are. I can't say your name, but it's like you're Michael's daughter, you're Becky's daughter, and you're my first granddaughter. Like, I know who you are. But she couldn't say my name.
Interesting.
So I want to liken it to something like that, but at the same time, I have no idea. But there it was. So in 2005, there was in the UK, a special on Body Shock called The Man Who Slept for 19 Years. It showed his mother and daughter encouraging him to go to neurologists to find out how he regained his speech after so long. There were a lot of really well-known doctors on there, neurologists, neuropsychologists, just people like that. There was actually a neuropsychologist. He said that Terry's brain had retained a lot before the accident, but lost the ability to store any new memories.
Oh,
so
God.
Right up before the accident, the things that happened, maybe like a week or two or whatever before the accident, those were still just thoughts. They weren't quite memories yet in the brain, and that's why he can't really remember them. And it's like, to this day, it's like he can't really...
There's a movie like that.
That is terrifying.
It's one of the best movies I've ever seen, and I watched it by accident. It was actually just a few months ago. Cannot remember the name. I'll have to ask Jeremy.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'll Google it really quick, but that's what that reminds me of.
That is terrifying.
Of a young man.
I love my memories. They're so great in my head. Ugh. And then there was another doctor who was a neurologist that showed that the damage to the frontal lobes of Terry's brain kept him from processing new experiences into memories even, to this day. There were brain scans done by the Weill Cornell Medical College, and that helped build the hypothesis that his brain was essentially rewiring itself to get around all the damage that this accident had caused.
That's amazing.
That is absolutely incredible.
The brain power that we have that is untapped is amazing.
Yeah, it is. And that's the thing too. It's just oh my gosh, the brain is such a mysterious thing.
Yes, it is.
It really is, because we know so much about muscles, we know so much about hearts, livers, all of the organs, but the brain is like that one thing that is just so hard to get a grasp on. Like nerves, yeah, we can easily. Well,
what's funny is it's the mystery, trying to figure out the mystery.
Yeah, exactly. It's just it's insane. I don't even understand. So, all of this wonderful things happened. And then I found this article on the Telegraph, which I don't really know much about the Telegraph because I don't read a lot of articles.
From the UK?
Yeah. I don't read a whole lot of articles on it, but it just seems like kind of one of those tabloidy, but like with more news related rather than like celeb related.
Yeah, that's how I would categorize it as well. I like Telegraph stuff though.
The title for this one and the subtitle for it are Awakening to a Family Feud. His recovery from a 19-year coma cheered America, but Terry Wallace doesn't know that his daughter is a stripper, his wife has 3 children by another man, and his family is at war over this. So, I found a little bit of
oh my God.
I found a few articles to back a lot of this up too on other sites. So Terry Wallace has some catching up to do. He, after 19 years in a coma following a car crash, has suddenly woken up and begun to speak. His mother, Angeli, is thrilled, as is his wife, Sandy. But what he doesn't know is, while he was sleeping, Sandy, the young bride whom he kissed goodbye on the evening of his accident, has 3 children by another man. And as he struggles to match the young woman who visits him in the hospital in Arkansas with a hazy memory of his 6-month-old daughter, which this is, like, the times seem off because, like, everything else I found said 6 weeks and that he absolutely didn't remember, and I found more
Either way, she was an infant.
Either way, yeah, she was an infant. That his daughter, Amber, and he has yet to learn that she, who is now, like, 20, earns a living as a striptease dancer. So basically, soon after this is all from the article. Soon after Wallace's near lifeless body was recovered from a dried up riverbed, it emerges that his parents went to court to claim exclusive guardianship over their son, cutting Sandy and indirectly Amber out of his life. So throughout all that time, Sandy would not divorce him because she's like, well, that's my husband. If you're going to keep him alive, then we're going to keep him alive, and I'm going to stay married to him. And she just never got to see him.
That's a lot of moral dilemmas.
It is a huge moral, especially because she was so young at the time.
Yeah, it's like you want her to move on and live her life, but then why would you hold on to your husband if you're going to move on?
Exactly.
That you can't have your cake and eat it too. Like, she should have made a decision. That's just my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know all the circumstances either.
I don't know. And that's like, with the circumstances, that's why I kind of like bounce back and forth between all of these different articles to kind of see. But just like all of the drama in this one article made it impossible to pass up. I just couldn't do it. I was like, eh. So she said, I have not been allowed to see him once in all these years, and I'm still not allowed to now. And this came out just like a few weeks after he woke up.
So his wife was never, because his parents took guardianship.
Yep.
I'm just clarifying. Okay, his parents took guardianship and wouldn't allow her. What assholes?
I know, right? They were married. They had a kid together. Just, why? I don't understand that.
They probably didn't like her from the beginning.
Oh, no, probably not. You know? It's just one of those things.
What a dick fucking move, man. Like, I am actually more blown away by that. That's terrible, because if she showed initiative in the beginning and wanted to help take care,
well, and
what kind of an asshole mom do you have that says no?
Exactly. Well, she does say in this article, you know, she was 17 when it happened. She did have a bit of a breakdown over it, like, how am I going to do this? And of course, once Terry's mom figured this out, she's like, oh yeah, she's definitely not going to do this, so we might as well do everything that we can just to keep her away. So, like, she's 17. She's allowed to freak out a little bit, you know? Oh, just drives me nuts. So she gets into this relationship with a guy that she only says his name is Mike, which is fine. She had 3 kids with him, and she's like, you know, I acknowledge that there's this problem, but I'm still married. And she told the guy, she's like, I am not going to divorce him to marry you because he's still alive. He's still doing his thing. And, she kind of, like, halfway moved on in a way, and they ended up splitting up because she wouldn't divorce him.
Yeah, well, what a terrible, why should he stick around for that?
Exactly, and I don't blame him for that either.
What a terrible conundrum for both of them.
I know.
The state of their life must have never truly been comfortable.
Exactly. Well, and the thing is, too, is she does state in this article that, you know, Mike has moved on, he's married now, and all this other stuff, but they still all attend family functions together. So they're still in really good standing. You know, they've got the 3 kids, so that makes me happy if that's actually true. So that's not like the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
Let's see, where was I gonna go? So his mom basically takes over, and she's just like, no, we're just going to keep him alive. We're gonna, knowing that all the care that was going to go into this, knowing that they couldn't fully afford all of it all if they couldn't have the physiotherapy, which, that's fine. That's your kid. I get it. Cool. Angeli, the mom, described her son's remarkable recovery, stating that while he had childhood memories of his family, even remembering that it had been his job to feed their pigs, he had no clear recollection of his daughter or his marriage or anything like that.
Well, I bet that his mom just loved that shit.
Well, here's the thing. Sandy, however, challenges this version of events, saying that although the Wallace family would not acknowledge Amber, she had visited Terry 3 times since he had begun to talk. So she's it's basically, it's just sounding like a big feud. And they're just like, oh, well, whose penis is bigger because she's lying, or just one of those things. And I'm like, man, the guy woke up after 19 years. Why can't you guys just hold hands and be happy for a minute?
5 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, just get it together. Basically, at the end of the article, because it just goes into, like, a whole lot of other...
Just
it's all, like, the same shit. Like, okay, well, now they're doing this. Well, now they're... It's just like, y'all calm down. Sandy, however, said that she refused to be cut out of the family any longer. I am married to Terry, and I plan on staying that way, she said.
I think that's admirable. That's cool.
Since this all started, I have seen a lawyer, and I'm going to go to court and get a guardianship deal. Mm-hmm. Good for you. Like, seriously, that's her husband.
That a long time ago, probably.
Yeah, but she probably didn't. She was so young. She probably was just like, I don't know what I can do.
Do you think it was her mother-in-law or her father-in-law or both?
I'm more willing to believe it's a mother-in-law because everything I've heard out of here has been from the mother-in-law and not from the father-in-law.
Like the mother's like always the one running her mouth.
Yeah, like the father-in-law is just like one of those ones to kind of stand down a little bit or just doesn't want to get involved.
To himself.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
He doesn't feel the need to spread it out.
Exactly.
Wow.
So, but I've always been really fascinated ever since I heard that he woke up. I was like in middle school when he woke up, and I've always been so fascinated about it because my grandpa, he was in a coma for 9 years.
Right.
And there was always just kind of like that hope that he was going to wake up, but unfortunately he never did.
That'd be terrible. No. There's so much nope there. If I can't like live my life, then I don't feel the need to be there.
I don't ever want to die, so I'm just like, hook me up, leave me that way.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting to me. It's like if I'm going to be in a coma for longer than, I'd say, give it 1.5 years.
Okay, that's a decent amount of time. That gives your brain enough time to... At that point, they might be able to figure, with the technology we have now, as opposed to what they had in, like, 1984, 1986, around that time. The technology they may have now might be able to show whether or not you're making new pathways in your brain. So,
I don't want to be a burden on... Jeremy doesn't need that kind of shit in his life. My kids don't need that kind of shit.
I'll take care of you.
Thanks, Britt. You might have to.
Yeah. I'll take care of you. I don't mind. Cool. I take care of other people. I like taking care of people.
Yeah, you'd be a good caretaker.
Except for I have a really short fuse. I get frustrated so easily. Oh, it's so awful. I've been working on it, but I don't think I could actually, technically, as a profession, be a caretaker.
I bet it'd be different if it was your job.
Maybe. Depends on how much they're paying me.
Yeah, it's not a lot. Caretakers do not get paid a lot.
Nope. And I don't mind wiping butts. I've had to wipe butts before. Mm-hmm. Not my child's butt, but like other people's butts. Yeah. They need help. I'm like, okay. I'm okay with that. It's just, if, like, with my great-grandparents, the way that, my great-grandpa has passed recently, but my great-grandma, she's not all there. She doesn't remember things, and that would really frustrate me. I would have such a hard time with that.
With the memory?
Yeah.
That makes sense. I can understand.
No, you already ate. No, you already took these pills. No, I'm work for you. No, you can't go outside because it's 3:00 in the morning. Mm-hmm. No, I'm not an intruder, or things like that. Because at that point, a lot of the times they become very combative.
Yes.
And
they can be violent.
Yeah, I can't imagine, coming home from work with a black eye and having to walk around with my husband the way that Americans like to judge. Like, seriously. I've had to do that before. I've had to walk out with a black eye, and I went to work, actually, where we mutually work together, and everyone's like, oh my god, did he hit you? And I'm like, y'all are fucking stupid. I'm like, no.
No, because I hit back.
Yeah, exactly, and he knows I hit back. But it's just like, they're so quick to judge rather than to be like, oh, hey, what happened? It's like, oh, very easy for me to explain to you. I fell down and hit my face on a doorknob. Mm-hmm. Like, it's as simple as that. But everything is just not how people want it to be.
Yeah.
So, because maybe they want to be a savior.
So he's still alive?
As far as I could find, I tried to look up to see whether or not he had died. But
so we don't have a conclusion if she got guardianship.
I couldn't find that either.
That's too bad. I wonder what happened.
I don't know. I'm
wonder
hoping
what his daughter's doing.
Ooh, hopefully she's going to college. All that strip teasing might have paid her way through college.
It probably could have.
Yeah. Well, I'm really hoping that Sandy didn't give up on a fight for guardianship, or even just have like a deal on guardianship, because the way it sounds to me, I really don't want Angeli to win that at all.
I guess I just feel like they both kind of need to be a little more charitable. I'm sure that there's wrongs on both sides of the fence. I guess I just understand that sometimes people have a hard time letting go of their children and realizing that they're adults, and sometimes they just need to learn to let go. But this is a totally unique situation because, I mean, if my kid was 20 and that happened, I'd be like, holy shit. Because when you're 20 years old, you're still a baby.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Even though you don't think you are,
you're still a baby.
And I think that sometimes parents keep their kids in that state for longer than necessary.
Yeah.
And I don't know where I'm really going
going to
with
be
this.
So guilty of that. So guilty.
See, I'm actually really terrified that I'm going to be like that. So I'm very conscious of, I've actually been thinking about it because my kids are 14 and 16 now. And so within the next 10 years or so, they're going to be bringing significant others home. And whether it's somebody or not that they marry, it's when shit starts getting serious.
Yeah.
And I don't want to not want them to come over.
Yeah.
And I'm really worried about that. And them not wanting to come over is if I treat their significant other like shit.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to do that. Or if I treat them like crap. Because...
Or it's like that thing in the back of your mind, well, like, nobody's good enough for my baby, so...
Yeah. And I just... I have been on the receiving end of that. And it's horrible. It's a terrible, terrible thing.
Yeah.
And I don't want my children to feel like they have to choose between me and another way to be happy.
Yeah,
I'm terrified of that.
Yeah, I have honestly only been on that end once in my life. Mm-hmm. And I had actually, this guy that I was dating, I had never even met his parents. Mm-hmm. And automatically they were like, nope. Because of the fact that, you know, she doesn't go to church or do any of this or that. And the guy I was dating, he wasn't very religious at all either. And he's like, are you kidding me? And so, like, this whole thing just tore a huge rift in between us, and it was just, it was a nightmare. And like I said, they had never even met me, and I try to do really well with, you know, the families of who I was dating at the time, and with, like, the past couple of my serious relationships, yeah, there might have been, like, a couple of things we didn't agree on, but we eventually ended up working it out. Like, I love my in-laws. I have great in-laws.
That's fantastic.
So, and that's one thing, like, I'm pretty happy about, but it also kind of, yeah. But it also kind of makes me wonder, too, like, if something that, like this were to ever happen, like, how would it be? Would, you know, things, like, would the dynamic all of a sudden just change, or, and then I think about it at the same time, I'm like, you know, I don't think that it would, just because of how awesome they really are, so...
That's really good. I always try to cultivate a relationship in the moment with my kids with a thought towards the future. Yeah. So, like when they were really little, I would encourage them to tell me anything, and if I didn't like it, I wouldn't like freak out necessarily. And now I'm reaping those benefits. So they're telling me about, you know, people that they like at school, and they're telling me about that kind of stuff, and they can feel open because I started when they were really, really young, and I just worry. I worry a lot about my relationship with my kids as an adult.
Yeah. Well, I think, honestly, if you keep going the way that you're going, I think you'll be just fine.
I hope so.
Those kids have nothing to complain about, to be perfectly honest.
Everybody has something to complain about, unfortunately. It's always the mother's fault.
Realistically, they have nothing to complain about. Yeah. They could be so much worse off.
I like to think so.
Maybe, you know what? Maybe put them in a situation to where they are way worse off. Let them see. Ooh, have them volunteer at homeless shelters or at the Dove Center.
My mom made me do that once because my sister and I were being kind of bratty, and it was around the Christmas season, and my mom made us go and feed the homeless, and that was quite the experience.
It was very awakening.
Yeah, because we were being dicks, basically.
Yeah. I was in a class in high school, and we had to do some volunteering and things like that, and that was even just a little bit that I did just to get by on the grade, because high school, duh. Just to get by on the grade, and even a little bit that I did was pretty, like, whoa.
Cool.
So, it was really cool. But, yeah.
Okay.
So that was my medical mystery. I know it doesn't seem like just so super exciting, but if you think about it, most people don't recover from something like that.
It's a mind fuck. It really is. The more you think about it, the more you're like, oh my God. And the drama that was involved in it that's a whole nother, like, psychology, like, discussion.
Yeah. It's like, at that point, do you want to wake up or no?
Yeah. Seriously. All right. So should we go into mine?
Yes. I would love to hear it.
Okay. So mine, first, what I was thinking about doing is, I know I'm going to fucking butcher this. You know how I read things and I don't hear them said,
yes.
and so I mispronounce everything?
Yes.
Okay, is it chimera or chimera?
What?
It's Chimera. Originally, that's what I was going to do.
I think it's chimera.
I think it might be chimera as well, but I've always said chimera when I, like, read it in my head.
The ch at the beginning.
Yeah. But that's basically, like, something with 2 sets of DNA.
Ooh.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
That might be really good too.
That's when I remembered the nature versus nurture experiment, the Minnesota twin family study.
Oh.
Yeah.
I remember reading about this actually just last year. I didn't delve too deep into it because I was just like, I can't. If I go down this rabbit hole, I will never emerge.
So it was pretty amazing. I got a lot of my stuff was condensed into, like, one particular article on livescience.com. So thank you guys. But I just kind of bullet pointed a few things. Because I figured they could be just, like, general talking points.
Yeah.
So basically, I was actually shocked about when it occurred. I thought it was earlier, like around, like, the 50s. 60s. No, it was a 20-year experiment. It was conducted from 1979 to 1999. So super recent.
Well, of course, they had to finish it before Y2K and all the computers crashed,
true,
right?
True. And it followed identical and fraternal twins who were separated at an early age. Yeah.
So heartbreaking.
It is. I'm not sure they separated them, which was what I had always thought. I didn't see any evidence of that. I actually went to the Minnesota Twin Family Study website, and it seems like it was all young mothers who gave up for adoption or they're orphaned.
But it's really sad because it's like if you're going up for adoption, it's like if you're getting pregnant, you don't know if you're getting, most of the time you're going to get a single baby. You're going to have one baby, but sometimes there's a chance that you're going to basically have a litter. I think it should be the same thing with adoption. I think it should be based off of who the mother chooses and if the mother is having, a single baby or twins or whatever, if that mother chooses you and you're willing, you need to just take them. Like, if there's twins, take them both. If you can't handle having them both, then you need to move on to a different mother and let somebody who might. I mean, it's just...
It makes it hard, though, because you want kids in the system that long when they could be separated in happy homes.
I know, but at the same time, it's like I find out about all these people who have twins. They don't know.
It's just a really fucked up situation, and it's really sad.
I want to adopt all of the babies.
So, over the time, the 20 years, what is official is 137 pairs of twins, 81 pairs of identical, and 56 pairs of fraternal. You know the difference between the two,
yes.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
So, those of you that don't know, identical are one egg that's separated, and fraternal are two separate eggs.
Yep.
Yes. And the study resulted in more than 170 individual studies focusing on different medical and psychological characteristics. So this was like the big, massive study, and within it they had a little like subcategories kind of
like branching off a little bit.
Exactly, and it was pretty interesting. I just kind of wrote down some of the things that were noted. Let's see. So genetics, one thing that they've discovered, they have a stronger influence on sexual orientation in male twins.
Really?
So, yes. So if you have one male twin who is gay, he's more likely to have his other twin be gay than like if you had one who's a lesbian and or whatever you identify as. That's cool. I don't get into the whole labeling thing because I think that is...
But for the study, it's kind of important.
Yeah. So, so I thought that was interesting that it was stronger in male twins. And identical twins would stand the same way while fraternal twins would have different postures.
Really?
Yeah, so they would, like, throughout childhood and into their adulthood, they would take pictures of people standing. and it was interesting. It's almost like when you're like walking through the mall or something, and you see like a mother-daughter and they walk exactly the same way.
Yes.
Sometimes I wonder if Madeline and I walk the same way.
I've never really noticed. But the thing is these things are also like, it sounds like they're kind of small enough to, it's like not the things that you would go out to notice.
Yeah.
You have to think of to notice.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it is really interesting that the identical would stand the same way, and the fraternal would not.
They're just like walking around with mirrors attached to them.
Pretty much, yeah.
If you ever feel like having a twin, just take a full-length mirror and attach it to your arm like a shield, like an old school gladiator shield.
Like, yeah.
And be like, oh no, I'm Brittney. Have you met my?
You get really good at reflecting sun in people's eyes.
Exactly. Oh my god, I would use that. I try to do that to people who are like riding my ass while I'm driving. I'll try to catch their headlights just right to kind of like back them off a little bit. And if I can't do it with my rear view mirror, I do it with my side mirrors.
That's smart. Love it.
It's a lot of fun.
It's smart until you kill someone, but yeah, I love it.
You know what? They shouldn't be riding my ass because I brake for tailgaters.
I agree.
Fuckers. It's like, if I'm doing 5 over, calm your tits, okay? Seriously.
I agree. Okay, so a study in 1990 found that genetics account for 50% of the religiosity among the population. So, in other words, so both identical twins raised apart were more likely to be religious or not, compared with unrelated individuals. So even like their propensity to be religious, 50%.
So even, say the birth mother had, generations of being Catholic or whatever, and like the adoptive parents come in and they're like Christian
or Protestant
or Protestant. So the twins were more likely to be religious and follow not Catholicism but Christianity because that's what they're growing up with. But if the adoptive mother has no like religious like need to or whatever, and then they get adopted off,
usually still find a religion to like grab onto.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's
really
not specific by the religion, but just specifically spiritual.
Okay.
So a spiritual need has to be fed.
I really wonder what happened to mine because I have none. I have no spiritual need.
I'm deeply spiritual, but not religious.
I like, I have like a little bit, but I'm not like, oh gosh, no, we have to do things by the sun or whatever. No, I just live my life day by day, like a person. I guess
like
I don't know.
Being on the earth.
Yeah, exactly. I feel absolutely no need for religion in my life, which is cool.
Yeah,
it works for me.
I respect either way.
Yeah,
honestly.
It's like if you want to have a religion, cool, go for it. It's all for you. Me, I don't want it.
Yeah, I'm not angry about religion. Like some people seem when
I get angry when they get pushy. That's when I get angry.
That even then I'm just like, okay, but when they stop respecting my space is when I start getting angry. If they're like, come to church with me, and I'm always like, no, I don't get angry about that. But I get angry about if you're coming into my space and telling me I'm wrong for it, that's when we got a fucking problem.
Or it's like, no, you really have to come. You have to. And I'm like, I don't fucking have to do anything. Why would I have to do that?
It's truly none of your business.
Exactly. Anyways.
No. Dude, I get it. I don't really want to turn this into a whole, like, religious political...
No.
Okay, so, so obviously there's a strong genetic influence on dental and gum health.
Yes.
Even when one twin would be, like, taking really good care of their teeth and another twin wouldn't be, they still seem to have, like, the same problems. Maybe the, what am I trying to say? Like, when something is worse, exasperated, but that's not. Is that? I don't know if I'm using that in
exacerbated
in the correct context, but you know what I'm trying to say. So, like, like one might have more of an issue, but the other still might be dealing with it a little bit.
Yeah, it's still present there.
So I thought that was really interesting. And another thing is another study found 50% genetic influence on happiness and well-being. And I found that to be really fascinating because it's also 50% for being religious or not.
Yeah.
And happiness and well-being, it's definitely all about your mindset.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter about your circumstance. it matters
on how you handle those circumstances.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know
and
that being a night owl is genetic?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm so much a night owl. If I don't go to bed early every night, then I start staying up later and later and later and later, and next thing I know, I'm staying up till 4 a.m. with no issues.
Yep. I was up until probably about 2:30 last night, and I was still just like wide awake, and I was finally like, I have to make myself go to sleep.
Unfortunately, my schedule doesn't allow me to do that, but when it
Mine
did,
does.
when it did, man, total night owl. Always have been. It's just when I work best.
Well, apparently it's genetic. I saw a study on it.
That's interesting. Neither one of my parents are night owls.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
But your dad gets up like at midnight.
My dad would be getting up when I would be like going to sleep.
Yeah.
When I was a teenager, he'd get up at like 4 a.m. and
That's
I'd be
just
like,
weird.
night, and he'd be like, what are you doing up?
Going to bed. Duh.
But of course, my dad doesn't think that anybody that sleeps past 6 a.m. is sleeping in. I'm like, you need to calm your shit.
Yeah, seriously.
Calm your tits. Okay, so another study, researchers surveyed the separated twins about how close they felt to their newfound sibling. So among identical twins, 80% of those surveyed reported feeling closer and more familiar with their twin than they did to their best friends, suggesting a strong genetic component in the bond between identical twins.
That makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm. So somebody you even like grew up with, and they were your best friend, they knew everything about you. You met your twin, and that was it.
Yeah, that makes just a whole lot of sense to me, because, and that was especially like identical. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there's so many similarities. Obviously,
very
the study
interesting. The bond that they have. To me, that's why I thought it was so interesting, because that bond is such a mystery.
Yeah.
It's definitely a mystery. So in 1986, a study found that genetics plays a larger role in personality than previously thought. Environment affected personality when twins were raised apart, but not when they were raised together, the study suggested. Which I thought that was... So, in other words, hold on. So when they're raised together, they can... The way I read it was that they can go their separate ways. That's why you'll have twins that are totally opposite in the same household. Yeah. But then when you have twins that are like separated by social class, economic class, across the country, different total cultures, and they still are very similar in their propensity to do things or to believe things or
because if they're raised apart, they're not dealing with that competition, like,
Exactly. Yeah. That's
I'm like 2 minutes older, so obviously I'm the better one, or things like that, or like, you can't dress like that because I'm dressed like that, you need to go find something else.
Yeah.
Or it's like, I don't want to dress like you anyways. It's almost like
that need to be seen as an individual. I find that fascinating when you're a teenager and you want to be this individual, but you still have to dress like your friends. You still have to look like your friends. Yeah. I was definitely one of those kids where I was like, oh, I have to be an individual. And I still kind of have it even as an adult. Yeah. But I look back on my, when I was a kid, and I really did a lot of stuff to fit in. And I didn't realize it at the time. I wanted to be like, I'm original.
Yeah, and that's a funny thing, too, because when I was in, high school and middle school and things like that, it was kind of getting around, like, the emo phase and whatever, and so it was all about being individual and blah, 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 and the next thing you know, everybody was coming to school looking exactly the same anyway, so it's like, you think you're an individual, but when, in reality, you're still the same, you're still doing the same thing as everybody else, which is fine. That's perfectly fine, because then, you're fitting in with that culture, or, you're doing whatever. And I made a whole lot of friends. I had a whole lot of friends during middle school and high school, and I was very lucky. But now, as an adult, I'm just like, I'm just gonna throw on this pair of generic, like right now I'm wearing these generic capris and a tank top. I wear a tank top, like 2 tank tops every day. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't want to worry about what other people think or if I have to fit in with any of them. Right. If I look the way I look, then I look the way I look. It's not for anybody else. So, but yeah, back in the day, fitting in, that was a big thing, even when we thought it wasn't.
I've known a couple of different twins. Actually, I know this one set of twins, and even as adults, they hate each other's guts.
Really?
It's really eerie because they are so identical, you cannot tell them apart.
Oh man, could you imagine if like you accidentally called one the other name and like how pissed that they would get?
I've done it.
Like, oh god, that is awful.
And they just fucking glare at you, and they're not like nice about it all, but It's like, I don't know them well enough.
Yeah.
It's just when you see them, like, in the grocery store or something, you say, oh, hey, so-and-so, and they're like, like, they get shitty, or they ignore you, or they truly hate that the other one is in their life. Like, they resent the fact that the other one is so much like them.
I've never known twins like that. And it's funny because
they both talk about... I actually known a couple of sets of twins that hate each other, but I find that to be really fascinating. Like, how can you... It's almost like they feel like their identity was stolen.
Yeah, or like they just hate themselves. So they're like, yeah, you remind me too much of me. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, but these two, they're just total assholes. And they just both think they're so funny. And they both think that they hate the other twin. I'm like, it's because you two are too much alike. Yeah. And that's because they're both the dicks. But try telling them that.
Yeah. The funny thing is, out of all of the sets of twins that I've known throughout my life, I only know of one of those sets of twins that both of the twins are still alive.
Really?
Isn't that terrifying?
Oh my.
Oh man, because I know there was like one set of twins who I absolutely loved them. The one had a heart condition and she ended up passing away of that, and then there was an accident for another set, and just not good for anybody. So... yeah, only one out of all the sets of twins, and I've known quite a few out of all the sets of twins. I only know one that have both siblings still alive.
That's some scary shit.
That is absolutely terrifying.
So I have one example.
Okay.
Of the... So there's a similarity of twins reared apart, and they're called the Jim twins. They're the most famous... example that they have out there. There's a lot of different examples that they had, but I thought I would do this one because everything was so fucking crazy similar. So these twins were adopted at the age of 4 weeks apart, and both of the adopting couples, unknown to each other, named their son James. Upon reunion of the twins when they were 39 years old, Jim and Jim have learned that, and here's a few different things. So both twins were married to women named Betty and divorced from women named Linda.
What?
One has named his first son James Allen, Allan, while the other named his first son James Allen, Allan.
Whoa!
Yeah. Both twins have an adoptive brother whose name is Larry. Both named their pet dog Toy. Both had some law enforcement training and have been part-time deputy sheriff in Ohio. Yep. Each did poorly in spelling and well.
Oh, wait. Hold on. This was both in the same state?
Yeah. Weird, right?
Okay. So how did they not
I don't know if they grew up in the same state or if they just worked.
If they were working in the same state,
I bet you that's how shit started. Like, they started like, oh my God, I thought you were, you have a twin out there. I'm sure that people have told them that. Probably. People tell me that. I know I don't have a twin
I heard that a lot, too. I was in Olympia. I was at a show, and I had these, like, other people come up to me, and they're like, no, we gotta go. And I'm like, who the fuck are you guys? And they look, and they were like, oh, shit, you're not so-and-so. And I'm like, no, I'm not so-and-so. They're like, wait, are you sure you're not so? I'm like, no, I am not this person. And then 3 months later... or no, it was not 3 months later. It was like 3 years later. So-and-so's mom comes into the casino while I'm working. She's like, oh my God, you were the spitting image of my daughter. This is unreal. We actually were Facebook friends for a while.
That's interesting. That happened to me. Actually, it was in Tacoma, and I was standing outside. I think it was like Harmon's or, what do they have? Top Foods.
Top Foods.
And,
oh my God, I forgot about Top Foods.
He comes up to me, and he's like, hey, what's up? I was like, not much. How are you doing? And we had like this whole conversation, and he's like, so how was your night? I was like, my night was really good. How was yours? And we're just talking. And finally he was like, so what'd you think of that party? And I was like, I wasn't at a party. And he looked at me, he's like, oh my God, you're not my sister.
Oh my God.
It's like they go to these same parties, and he didn't realize I wasn't his sister. But we just had this whole conversation, and I was like, I don't know who the fuck this guy is, but maybe I met him sometime.
Maybe,
and I just thought it'd be nice. But yeah, I totally understand that. That was like, it's weird when that happens.
Oh, that is so funny.
So that's probably what happened to them. People were like, oh my God, you totally look like this other dude, you know? So, what else? Oh, each did carpentry, mechanical drawing, and block lettering. Yeah, which is fucking really specific. So this one is a really, really crazy. Each vacation in Florida in the same 3-block Long Beach area. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then the last one I have is both twins began suffering from tension headaches at 18. They gained 10 pounds at the same time and are 6 feet tall and 180 pounds.
I quit. I'm done. That's it. We don't have to do any more podcasts because this is it.
It's fucking weird,
this
right?
This is it.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a whole bunch more on this, but you can go to the Minnesota Twin Family Study website, and they have a lot of information on there. It was almost too much for me to like fit in here. It was just, I just think it's really fascinating. I've always thought it was really fascinating.
That is incredible because you have like the whole like that whole 6 degrees of separation thing. They weren't like 6 degrees separated. They were parallel doing everything in their life, and they just couldn't quite get close enough to like walk up to each other on the street in Florida, say, and be like, why do you look exactly like me? You know,
I find that interesting, that whole thought of people living parallel lives but never really meeting at the right time. Jeremy and I lived parallel lives there for a little while. Like, we started talking before we met, and if we would have met any sooner, it would have been too soon.
Yeah.
But at one point, I was going to move right down the street from him.
Really?
Yeah. We were going to move right down the street from him, and that means I would have been going to that local bar that he was always going to at that time.
Oh, that local bar.
Yeah, it was. But, I mean, I was going to be living in Roy. And so, what else? Like, just all sorts of things. Like, we would be at the same show at the same time and not know it. Like, we would just go to, like, different things at the same time and not realize that. And then finally we were met through a mutual friend.
That's perfect. That's all you need.
And it was perfect timing because at that point I had decided, I was like, you know what?
I don't think I've ever done that before. I had any, like, sort of coincidental things like that happen to me.
It happens to me a lot. I don't know if I look for it more often or I just feel like it does happen to me quite often.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've had, like, coincidences happen, obviously, but nothing like a parallel coincidence like that, you know? It's just really, it's just one of those, another mystery of life.
I think that life is really fascinating.
Life is really fascinating in general.
So, yeah, that's all I got.
Cool. That was
Nature versus Nurture.
Twins.
The Gym Twins. Yeah, you can look them up. But if you want to find it, at first I was like, "Fuck, what's it called?" And I was like looking up like twin experiments, and I knew it was going to pop up, and I was like, "Oh, I do not need to know about like the twin experiments of like Nazi Germany."
Oh, hell
fucked
no.
up. I was like, I'm not even going to fucking touch that. No. But that's what kept popping up, and I was like, "No, what is it?" Finally, I remembered it was Nature versus Nurture.
Man.
Yeah, pretty fascinating.
That is really fascinating. Like, just the more I think about it, I'm like, they literally lived, it's almost like an alternate universe, them.
Have you ever read the Stephen King book? And I don't remember who else you've never read any Stephen King?
No.
My favorite Stephen King story, and he wrote it with another author. It's called The Talisman, and it's about parallel universes.
I've actually heard of that.
It's probably
I really need to like start reading more.
It is so good. I struggle with Stephen King because he's too descriptive sometimes, and it bores me.
That's like getting through if you can get through Bram Stoker's Dracula, you can get through Unabridged. If you can get through that,
I've
you
read
can
that
get through
book numerous
anything.
times.
I have also made it. I'm very proud. I've made it halfway through the unabridged volume of The Count of Monte Cristo.
Oh, I haven't even tackled that.
Oh my god! I made it halfway through, and then I finally had to put it down and walk away from it. Good? It's been years since I picked it back up.
Isn't it amazing when you read those books and they really are like moving, because
they are.
You're like, fuck, like it sounds so boring and it sounds difficult, but then when you get through it, that's how A Tale of Two Cities was for me.
Yeah,
I was so fucking frustrated. There was things that Charles Dickens said in the beginning of the book where you're like, why the fuck is he telling me this? Like, you just get so irritated, and at the end it's almost like the last like page of the last chapter type of thing, it all just clicks. And you're just like, that book is one of my favorite books of all time because it was very hard for me to get through, and it was one of the most rewarding experiences I ever did.
Yeah. See, at my school, like all throughout my school career, I never had like a required reading list. So Red Badge of Courage, The Scarlet Letter.
I never really did either. We did like Romeo and Juliet and stuff. But
I mean, I took a Shakespeare class and we didn't even do Romeo and Juliet.
Can I tell you though, I love Shakespeare. He was a very funny man. Oh my gosh,
hilarious.
He was a very funny, very witty.
We did Hamlet and we did.
Did you do
Midsummer Night's Dream? And Julius Caesar. Yeah.
That's my favorite play.
Julius Caesar?
Yeah, I love it. Actually, I don't know why, but every March, I always remember March 15th.
Yeah.
As the Ides of March.
The Ides of March.
I just remember
Very
that.
unlucky day. You stay home.
Yeah.
With your back up against a wall. You stay home.
Beware the Ides of March.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. I just find that to be really interesting. I like the whole political intrigue.
Yeah.
Of it. But I miss reading. Madeline was going through that book list of like the most popular books from 1930 to present, and I'm almost like, damn, I feel like and Lolita was on there, by the way. It was 1958.
Oh, okay.
I knew it was the late 50s, early 60s. That was a hard book to get through because you just get pissed off.
But it's like the book that was like popular for the year I was born. I don't even still remember the name of it, but I'm like,
it was the Satanic. Something. I can tell you right now.
The Satanic Poopy Pants.
That's funny.
The Satanic Prophets.
No, 1989. Satanic Verses by Salman Rushdie.
What the fuck is that? I've never even heard of that.
I haven't either, but it was very popular in 1989.
I guess so. Well, the Satanic Panic, right? About that time?
Mine was... Yeah, it's true. That's true. Yes, and we talked about
Panic.
that. 1982.
You're welcome.
Is, let's see, E.T. the Extraterrestrial. So that I didn't realize that was actually
a book.
Yep, looks like it.
Well, it looks like we've got quite a few things to read, but I have to finish. I have to finish The Passengers, and then I got The Husband's Secret because that's going to be a movie that Blake Lively is going to be in.
Yeah, I want to see that.
And I love Blake Lively.
Or I want to read that first, but.
I have a lot of.
Can I borrow that one when you're done with that?
Yeah, are you going to give me The Martian back?
Yeah,
have you even read it yet?
No.
Read it first.
I can't. I watched the movie first.
Read it. Trust me. It is. You will be laughing out loud. If nobody has like read The Martian, it is so funny because like it gets to a point where he's on Mars and he's doing his text communication.
I tend to like very serious things unless it's chicklet.
Okay. No, you're not understanding. He's typing to like the command, and obviously the whole world can see what he's typing back and forth to the command, and they tell him this, and he's like, hey, look, and then he makes boobies with parentheses and zeros, and it's just so, like, I laughed out loud, but then
there's
like the very next
booby joke.
I know, but then like the very next paragraph, there's this huge sandstorm, and he's fucked. And it's just like, it's so up and down. It's so worth it. I didn't think it was going to be worth it. And I could talk about this book forever. Read the goddamn book.
Okay.
God. All
right. I'll read the book.
Read the book. I don't care if you saw the movie already. I've seen the movie too. The movie was actually pretty good, but the book, I know everybody says it, but the book was hilarious.
So the one book on here for 2012 is 50 Shades of Grey.
No.
And can I tell you, I have read it multiple times, and it's fucking boring.
It's not even just boring, it's bad writing because I too have read through it multiple times. If I
still haven't gotten through the third book.
Well, here's the thing. If I need something like stupid to read because I just need to, mindlessly read something, I will turn to Twilight or I will turn to 50 Shades of Grey. 50 Shades of Grey because it's very poorly written.
Yeah.
It's very, like fanfic type of
Did you
whatever.
see that she just came out with the novel The Perspective of Grey?
Ugh.
And I'm like, why? Everybody get off this goddamn
I better go
train.
Get that one too.
It's ridiculous. And honestly,
I'm already on the train. I can't get off. It's not that I enjoy the books. I just can't help it.
And I'm sorry, but I guess I just feel like 50 Shades of Grey is the modern housewives way to read fucking penthouse column shit.
It is
in book format because there's a story in there of love. No, he's an abusive fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Don't get me into it because that's a bad relationship. Girls, stay away. He's fucked up. You can't fix him.
He should have died in that helicopter crash.
God damn it. It makes me so mad when people are like, I can fix them. And no, you can't.
No, you can't.
No, you can't. In fact, they're fucking going down burning. They're going to bring you with them.
Especially when they don't want to be fixed. If they want to be fixed, they will go to a therapist and find themselves a new girlfriend.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. And obviously when you got together, you established patterns, and more likely than not, that shit's not going to work out.
Exactly.
Fucking get out. Oh, it makes me so mad. That whole book. For it being 2012, which everyone thought, that's kind of a modern time.
It's not.
And it's like glorifying abusive relationships.
Yeah, the story is just so archaic.
Fucking piss me off.
Yeah, I've read through it many times, and I'm just like, oh my god, I just need something dumb to read. And every time I read it, I'm just like, yep, this just keeps getting dumber and dumber.
Yeah, there's definitely some interesting things on here, though. But anyway, so this list, I think I'm going to try to work my way through it.
Yeah, do it.
Because there's some things I haven't read on here that I need to, like For Whom the Bell Tolls.
Have you heard of the 52 and 52 challenge?
No.
52 books in 52 weeks.
That might be a little rough for me. I might have to do it 2 years. I can, if I have the time, I can read a book a day. But I don't have the time.
Exactly. So, no, I tried it. It was when Ariel was probably about like 6 or 7 months old, and she was a little more independent because she's always just been so independent. Mm-hmm. I've always been able to, I haven't had to give up much just because she's so independent.
How do you really think I've stopped listening to us right now?
Oh, you know what? They can go fuck themselves.
Hey, fuck yourself.
Hey! Anyways. So I tried the 52 and 52, and I was doing really well. And then about
Is it a specific book list?
No, you just pick 52 books. Yeah, you just pick up the books. Cool. And so I started this one book. I didn't, because I was doing everything on ebook, because it was easier when I was couch surfing to have ebooks than to whatever. And so I'm reading, and then all of a sudden I realized that this book is way longer than what I had allotted for reading time in order to finish this. And then I was like, okay, fine, whatever. And I just kept going along with it. And the next thing I know, I kind of gave up, and I made it about 12 weeks in, though.
Cool.
And I read all of the Anne Rice Sleeping Beauty books.
I've read all those.
Terrifying.
Good Lord.
Oh my God. I had no idea what I was getting myself into.
You figure Anne Rice. This will be fine. It'll be interesting.
It'll be,
like the vampire version of V.C. Andrews.
Yeah, but no. Oh, no. That was terrifying.
That is some dark sex shit.
It's like seriously dark.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like reading this, and I was like, what?
How the prince was a necrophile?
Yeah, and then it's like, and then you can't stop, because then like
you're like, okay,
there's
I gotta
like
know.
That whole thing where she gets sold at the market, and I'm just like,
and then they were like, have to be horses.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, I don't know, but I gotta read it, and
so just gotta keep going.
But now it's in my brain forever.
Exactly, and I've never been able to get rid of it. No amount of brainwashing is getting rid of it, because if I do get rid of it, I'll probably just end up having to read it again.
Yeah,
and
whoopsies,
it's back.
Okay, well, on that note,
we are done with this week's episode. We got all of our chatter done at the end, it seems like.
Yeah, it took me a while to warm up. I had a rough night.
Yeah.
And we're doing this in the morning, which is weird.
We're not drinking. It's not even morning right now. It's like 2 o'clock.
Maybe we should start drinking and do the next.
Yes, let's do that. I like that idea. I only have 1 beer left, but your vodka is still here.
Oh, yay! I always have vodka here.
I know. I went to my freezer one time. I went to go fill up the ice, and there was like a bottle of vodka in there. I was like, this isn't mine.
That's how it was at Melissa's house, too. I always had vodka in her freezer. Always.
We need to just get Melissa to move down here, and we'll never run out of vodka, and we'll be all happy together, and she can just come hang out.
Yeah.
Ooh, you know what we should do? We need to get her on a FaceTime for one of these podcast recording sessions.
Yeah, we need to figure out something. I don't know if a FaceTime would work because of the sound of the recording. We'll have to figure something out for sure.
Yeah, we will. No, I think it'll be fine.
I would enjoy that.
I've held my phone up to the microphone just to test it before. It did okay. Because, I've got a lot of articles on my phone, so I wanted to make sure me just having it wasn't gonna mess anything up. But we need Melissa.
I know. I miss her.
I miss her too.
Okay, guys.
All right, you guys. Stay tuned for next week's episode.
We're gonna take a little break and maybe get a drink and.
Well, we're not coming back. They won't hear this for another week.
I know.
Oh, but anyway, stay tuned for next week's episode. We're gonna talk about famous shaman, ritualistic healers or leaders or whatever. I found mine after I changed like 1,000,000 times because it was so hard. So hard. It was like completely opposite of this week's Medical Mysteries because I had the really hard time for this coming one, and then you knew immediately.
Cool.
So,
all right.
Well, thanks so much, you guys. We love you. Bye.
Love you, boo boo.
Hey everyone, it's Brittney here. I just wanted to say thank you for listening to another episode of the All Things Strange podcast. I just wanted to let you know that we are all across social media doing everything that we can to get the word out. We do have our email all set up, so if you want to set in suggestions or if we're not on a platform that you want to listen to us on, I can do my best to get us on there. So the email is allthingsstrangepodcast@gmail.com. We are also All Things Strange Podcast on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, on SoundCloud, on iTunes. On Twitter, we are All Strange Pod, because apparently All Things Strange Podcast was way too many letters for that specific platform. I mean, you only get so many. But please go follow us on all those social medias. I'm going to try to be a lot more active on them because I want to hear from you guys and I want you to see what we're doing all the time and everything like that. Make sure to share the posts with your friends, subscribe, rate, comment, be a part of our little family here, because we want to grow. We want things to be amazing for you guys. We really do appreciate you. With our like 4 listeners out there. I know we don't have very many, but it's cool. You're one of us. You're here with us at the beginning. We love you. We